Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, we see over here we have some quake activity going on around Taiwan and then also in Iran. Isn't it interesting how, and maybe there's no coincidences, or maybe there are coincidences, but we got all this geopolitical tension going on with both of these countries. Taiwan and China, obviously, and Israel and Iran, and then, of course, U.S. and Russia are in all that mix as well.
Well, of course, this is purely coincidental.
Yeah, we've talked about the technology that's out there. We've talked about, and there's always new people coming in, but we've talked about Tesla and this earthquake machine back in New York City, well over 100 and something years ago. And, we just got to wonder exactly what technology's out there. But we see several injured after earthquake shakes southern Iran. And, both these areas are prone to quakes. So we have a epicenter magnitude of 5.8 that hit Iran on Sunday. Significant earthquake disrupted daily activities for portions of Iran on Sunday as the effects of the quake were far-reaching. And this is an area that's home to at least 60,000 people. And when we jump over and check out Taiwan, we see Taiwan rattled by quakes. No immediate reports of damage, 5.8. So very, very similar size. We've seen at least about a half a dozen people injured over in Iran. Thankfully, no deaths in either location.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We always hope for that.
Now, Typhoon Surigay is the strongest typhoon on record for April. It's got 180 mile-an-hour winds. This is a Cat 5. This is a strong Cat 5. I hope this is not a foreshadowing of what's to come for this hurricane season, both in the Atlantic and over in the Pacific.
I guess it's just going to be one of those things where time will tell, but let's please send all of our good energy to these people.
That is a powerful looking storm. Wow. It's just incredible what we're seeing happen here. And wow, look at that, 885 millibars. Oof, that is low. This is a seriously strong storm. Could reach up to 200 mile-an-hour winds.
Oh my gosh, that storm just feels nasty.
Oh, artificial flavoring. It really does feel like this is what's going on here. Everybody's been getting pounded in areas that are, a little bit prone to getting these storms, as we saw last year with record landfalls in the U.S. And, of course, the Philippines, Taiwan, Vietnam. These areas have been getting hammered. And so this is just a little bit older article, and you see it was 905, which is super strong, and then going down past that into 885, that is so strong. And in case you guys missed it, praying for everyone, 12 lost at sea after a microburst hit the Louisiana coast out of nowhere and capsized a boat. Look at that microburst. Now that's from southern Phoenix. These things can be very, very unpredictable, very, very intense, and do a lot of damage. So 12 people reportedly lost. From what I've seen, they found 4 bodies. There's others lost at sea. And this is off the coast of Louisiana. 6 people were safely pulled from the water. Amazing. They had winds of 134 miles an hour out of nowhere. So it's one thing when you see the hurricane coming, the typhoon coming, or you get the tornado warnings, they're coming. It's when you have these unexpected things that happen that just really, how do you prepare?
I know, you can't really prepare. You just have to, it kind of sideswipes you, which really can create a lot of other problems down the road for people.
So this was south of Grand Isle, Louisiana, in the Gulf of Mexico. And, the Gulf is, besides when there's hurricanes and tropical storms, relatively tranquil compared to the oceans. Yet another earth-grazing fireball, and this time over in Spain, and was seen over much of the country. So they say that this was a piece of an asteroid, hit the atmosphere about 61,000 kilometers an hour. And was it, or is it something else? You know, because these always look about the same, and it's just like a portal opening, and whoosh, they're gone.
Yeah, I know. I think that sometimes they're portals, and sometimes they could be beings.
And we have the KP index has been elevated, as you see 4 instances there, up to a 5, a minor G1 geomagnetic storm conditions, and staying a little bit elevated. And we had talked about the sun cycle and the fact that it is waking up a little bit ahead of time. And when the shields are down, there again, we can get more intense storms, more earthquakes, more volcanic activity. I saw a headline come through from our good friend David over at DAP 2030. Evidence of volcanic activity starting to cool the planet was the headline. So, check out his video for sure. And, that's what it feels like. And our good friend Raven up in North Carolina was saying the other day that he feels that we're going to be in for a summer, without a summer, so to speak. A year without a summer that we've had in the past. And I was thinking, my feeling was that might be next year, but we'll see. I mean, it's still abnormally cool. Where we are over in northeast Texas area. But then again, we're not used to this area. But when you look at the averages, it seems like it's running a little bit abnormally cool at the moment. One thing I've noticed too is like if the forecast is for it to get up to 72 or 74, seems to be getting stuck maybe 6 degrees less than that, or maybe even a little bit more.
I know that seems a little suspicious because it keeps happening.
Yeah, so it's like the forecasters maybe are not in on exactly what the people at the control switch playing the harps, so to speak, playing the harps. Maybe they're not getting their updates.
That's right.
And so we see human cells grown in monkey embryos reignite ethics debate. Scientists confirm that they have produced chimera embryos from long-tailed macaques. Or how do you say that? Macaques? Macaques? Macaques. I know what they look like. Those are those parrots, but the macaques, no. But anyway, you guys will correct me, I'm sure.
Yes.
And humans. Anyway, so, monkey and humans, we've seen them growing human ears on mice. All this for organ harvesting, so to speak. Or is it? What else is going on here? When we look back then, when we see everything that's going on here, pig embryos, sheep embryos with human cells in them, it does feel like the island of Dr. Moreau, but it also starts getting you thinking about Legends of the Minotaur and all these, different hybrid creatures that we see from mythology, and makes you wonder, were they tinkering with this type of stuff in Atlantean times?
I really feel that they were, and one of these days I'm going to go into a trance and we're going to find out.
And, also just look at the abduction phenomenon and how many times people have seen all sorts of weird things up in the ships when they, are regressed and they're able to access what happened to them when they're abducted. Often there's all sorts of strange beings and creatures. And then we could get into, the deep underground military base situation and, all these other beings, because we have gotten that in many instances, there are like hybrids that get loose, or they're even, perhaps even intentionally let out and roam about and see what they do with all the experimentation that goes on in the deep underground military bases. It makes me think again, somebody, I forget who it was mentioning missing 411, David Pallades, and said Cindy should volunteer for helping locate people, which is really cool, a good idea, and you'll see if anybody, we haven't reached out to them yet, but we would definitely like to help locate anyone that's missing. One of these areas is the area around Santa Fe, a little bit up into the mountains, And of course, that gets you thinking too about, well, what New Mexico, you have, the whole Battle of Dulce thing that went on. And, I had a strange encounter in the area around Santa Fe, in between Santa Fe and Taos, where there was something that was right next to the tent, and it scared the crap out of Zeke. He jumped straight on top of me and was shivering like a leaf. It just let out a big, deep growl that didn't seem bear. It didn't seem mountain lion. Didn't seem wolf, coyote. I don't know what it was. It just felt weird. It felt really, really weird. And I won't forget that sound. And it was heavy. You could feel its weight when it was walking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually when something like that happens to you, it puts a emotional signature in your brain that you never forget.
Of course, we always go looking for these things too.
We do. We can't help it.
Yeah, we definitely are into the cryptid thing. So it gets you wondering, and they're going to say, well, hey, we're going to create these things, and we're going to harvest organs, and we're going to replace the organs, and people are going to live a lot longer. But how about the ethics of it? Because you're obviously, destroying what the organ comes out of. And then what is it? And, even let alone using animals for that, what if it's somewhat human? I mean, what do you guys feel about that?
I know, this is really, really just yuck. How can they do this? I guess they just do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want to.
Yeah, and they did an experiment recently with the monkey embryos, and, there was quite a few that died right away, but there were some that lived 20 days and they destroyed them. They could have kept going on, and then I'm sure they've already done it. They've done it. They have full grown, whatever you want to call these chimeras,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they have a bunch of them, perhaps in deep underground military bases, perhaps underneath your feet right now.
Well, by the time it reaches the news or any type of mainstream, this has already been, it's already been mastered, and they know exactly what they're doing. So it's really disturbing when I see this come up in the first place, because I know they've been doing it for years and years.
Very true. Well, thank you guys for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Make sure you are subscribed and have the bell clicked to both channels. And if you need to set up an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. As always, stay prepared, and, preparation can save lives. God bless, and namaste.